you shared some really fascinating material with us, touching on how to cut through that mental fog,
Yeah.
and sharpen focus right when it matters. We've
Yeah.
all been there. Drowning in information, maybe, or just losing focus.
Absolutely. Feeling overwhelmed, mind drifting off.
Hmm.
It happens.
So today, for your deep dive, we're tackling exactly that. It's the art, and I guess the science, too, of concentration, patience, and setting realistic expectations.
Indeed. And while our source material, a lot of it comes from the world of championship golf, which is, intensely focused.
Right.
The insights we're going to unpack are, frankly, pure gold for pretty much anyone looking to sharpen their mind, elevate performance, whatever their field.
Okay, so our guide here is mostly from Chapter 4, Part 1 of the sources you sent. It blends neuroscience with wisdom from, well, some of the greatest golfers ever.
That's the core of it, yes.
So get ready, because we're going to discover some practical, sometimes even counterintuitive strategies, things to help cut through mental clutter, get that laser-like focus, and approach challenges with that calm, disciplined mindset of a champion.
We want to give you a shortcut, essentially, not just to be well-informed, but actually well-equipped to use the knowledge.
Perfect. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so a lot of us think, especially with really demanding tasks, that we need to be on constantly. Like full intensity, all the time, is the key to top performance.
Right. That's a common belief.
But your sources, especially when looking at someone like Jack Nicklaus, the legendary golfer, they reveal a totally different strategy.
Yeah, this is fascinating. Nicklaus didn't aim for constant intensity. He actually described his concentration as cyclical. He talked about moving from peaks of concentration into valleys of relaxation and back again.
Peaks and valleys.
He knew that trying to maintain that super intense focus for a whole, 4 or 5 hour round of golf, it would just lead to mental burnout. He used the phrase being pretty fuzzy-headed.
Fuzzy-headed. I can relate to that feeling.
Right?
So how did that cycle actually work for him? What did it look like?
Well, it was quite deliberate. It starts broad. As he walks onto the tee, he's taking in the whole scene, the environment.
Okay, general awareness.
Then, as he starts analyzing the shot, strategizing, figuring out wind, distance, club,
Yeah.
his focus narrows, intensifies. He builds this clear mental picture.
Right, zeroing in.
This leads up to the peak focus during his setup and the actual swing. At that moment, his mind is, in his words, totally exclusionary and totally positive. Just the shot, nothing else.
Total immersion, locked in. But then, crucially, what happens after the shot? He doesn't just stay there.
No, and this is the key insight, I think. After the shot hits, assuming he's not in some terrible trouble spot needing immediate planning, he consciously lets his focus drop. He descends into what he called a valley of relaxation.
How? Like, what does that mean, practically?
It could be just casual chat with his caddy or playing partners, or simply letting his mind wander, looking at the scenery, thinking about something else entirely for a bit.
Ah, okay. So an active release of that intense focus.
Exactly. Then the build-up starts again when he gets to his ball and assesses the next shot, gradually tightening focus until the next peak. It's about strategic deployment of mental energy, not constant drain.
Strategic deployment. I like that. It's not about being lazy. It's about being smart with your focus.
Precisely.
The sources even bring in Larry Bird, the basketball legend, which seems like an odd comparison at first.
Right, but it makes a point. Bird said his biggest fault as a golfer was actually his strongest point as a basketball player. His intense concentration.
How so?
On the court, he said, everything but the game was invisible. Total tunnel vision. Which is great for basketball's constant action. But he realized that kind of unrelenting focus in golf, with all its pauses and downtime between shots, would just lead to that mental drain Nicklaus warned about. That fuzzy-headed feeling. The demands are just different.
That makes perfect sense. The rhythm is different.
And this ties into the neuroscience part. Your sources talk about a system in the brainstem. Think of it as like a gatekeeper or a mental filter.
Okay.
It processes all the sensory stuff coming in and selects what actually gets through to your conscious awareness. That selection process, that's basically concentration.
So it filters out the noise, ideally. Like when you're reading a really good book and someone talks to you, but you don't even hear them.
Exactly like that. Your filter's working perfectly, keeping the outside stuff out. But there's a trap. The trap of arousal.
Arousal, you mean like stress or anxiety?
Yeah, basically the body's alarm system kicking in. When your higher brain senses potential danger or high stakes, it signals this filtering center in the brainstem. But instead of narrowing
It
focus,
does the opposite.
it kicks it into overdrive, yeah.
Hmm.
It widens the focus dramatically. It starts scanning for any potential threat, any relevant information.
Like an alarm bell making you hyper-aware of everything around you.
Precisely. So this scanning for impending danger just floods your nervous system. Your senses get heightened. You have billions of neurons firing. The sources call it an electrical storm.
Wow.
And in that state, it becomes almost impossible to focus deeply on one thing because your brain is frantically trying to process everything. Concentration plummets.
Okay, that explains so much. Like when you're under huge pressure and suddenly you can't think straight, even on simple things.
That's the mechanism.
So this makes me think about, my own work. Trying to stay on for hours.
Yeah.
No wonder I feel drained. If even Jack Nicklaus needed for those conscious dips in focus.
Right.
What does that say about our always-on culture? For you listening, when do you feel that overload in circuitry? How could adopting maybe a peaks and valleys approach help your output, reduce that burnout? It really reframes things.
It really does. It's a fundamental shift.
So we've talked about the rhythm of focus, the peaks and valleys, but what about the quality of that focus when you're on? The sources call this the champion's edge.
Yeah, and it seems to boil down again and again to this powerful mantra, one shot at a time.
Tell me more about that. Champions like Byron Nelson, Gary Player,
Yeah.
they all emphasize this.
Universally. Byron Nelson, who won an incredible 11 PGA Tour events in a row,
Unbelievable.
he flat out said concentration is standard equipment with all champions. It's not optional. Mechanical skill, swing technique, that's essential. But he believed concentration was often decisive.
The mental game is key.
And Gary Player echoes this. He said, the difference between an ordinary player and a champion is the way they think. It's about self-discipline, keeping absolute attention on what's happening that very moment, not dwelling on the last bad shot, not worrying about the tough hole coming up.
Just guessed. This moment. This shot.
Exactly. He even described rounds where he was so locked in, he literally didn't know his score until the end. Paul Azinger, too, talked about regaining that level of concentration after his cancer battle, feeling like before he could out-concentrate 90% of the field 90% of the time.
That's intense focus.
It is, and it leads directly to this practical strategy, one shot at a time.
We see this again and again in the examples, right? Fred Couples.
Yeah, Fred Couples' 1992 Honda Classic. He admitted he used to get ahead, start thinking about winning, and then he wouldn't win.
Oops.
So he learned, okay, just focus on playing this hole, then even narrower, play this shot. Sherry Steinhauer, Carolyn Hill both broke long winless streaks by consciously adopting that mindset. Just tried to play one shot at a time and not think too much about where I was or what I was trying to do.
Just execute the immediate task.
Even down to the junior level. Gilberto Morales winning the Junior World Championship, crediting it to focusing on hitting good shots, one at a time. Patty Sheehan in the LPGA Hall of Fame, telling herself during a tough final round, one shot at a time, don't think about anything else.
And Nicklaus again.
Nicklaus, too. He said, the more tense I am, the more I try to think of just one shot at a time, one situation at a time. It's the universal antidote to pressure.
Because the alternative, getting ahead of yourself, is so dangerous. The sources call it collecting trophies in your head.
Haha, yeah. Sam Snead learned that the hard way. 1953 Ryder Cup, he's 4 holes up, only 6 to play. Should be cruising.
In the bag, right.
He admitted that in his mind, he was already ordering a nice steak dinner, celebrating the win.
Oh, no.
He lost 5 of the next 6 holes and the match. His rule after that, never collect any trophies in your head until you have them in your hand.
Wow. Powerful lesson.
And Arnold Palmer, another legend, 1966 U.S. Open, he had a massive 7-stroke lead on the final 9 holes.
7 strokes. That's huge.
But he started thinking about breaking Ben Hogan's all-time scoring record. His focus shifted from playing the course to chasing history.
And
Lost the lead, ended up losing in a playoff the next day. Just shows how quickly focus can derail performance.
so the question for you listening is, how often do you find yourself doing that? Mentally jumping ahead to the outcome, the reward, the finish line. Or maybe dwelling on past mistakes.
Instead of just focusing purely on the task right in front of you.
Right. What's one immediate step you could take today to bring more of that one task at a time mindset into whatever you're doing?
It's about cultivating presence.
Exactly. Staying in the now, which ties perfectly into the next big theme, the power of patience and mental toughness. Or, as the sources phrase it, resisting decay.
Patience here is defined really specifically. It's not just waiting passively. It's combining that focus concentration we've been talking about with actively redirecting thinking that is unrelated to the present.
So it's active, keeping your mind where it needs to be even when things aren't going well.
Yes, and it's a cornerstone of what they call mental toughness, that ability to stay focused and, crucially, resist the emotional and physical decay in the face of frustration.
Resist decay. Tell me more about Sam Snead again. He seems like a masterclass in this.
Absolutely. There's a story from a practice round in 1936. He hit 3 consecutive tee shots, either out of bounds or into the water. None in play. Meanwhile, others are hitting perfect drives.
That would break most people. I'd be fuming.
Right. But a calm pro playing with him, George Fazio, just quietly told him, hit another one, Sam. No drama. So Sam tees up a 4th ball,
Yeah.
hits it to 20 feet from the pin, went on to shoot a 67 that day. His point was simple. Never give up.
Incredible resilience.
Another time at the Westchester Open, he hit 3 drives in a row. So far out of bounds, the Eagle Scouts couldn't have brought one of those balls back. His words.
Oh, it's really bad.
Awful. Yet he said he had patience, continued to play a shot at a time, and somehow ended up winning the tournament.
Wow. That's mental toughness defined.
It really illustrates this concept of decay, or what psychologists call extinction.
Okay, what's that?
Think about a vending machine. You put your coin in, you expect a soda out, right?
Yeah.
If nothing comes out, what happens? You get annoyed, frustrated, maybe you hit or kick the machine.
And guilty as charged.
That frustration, that escalation, that's a response to the expected reward not appearing. Over time, if it keeps happening, your behavior changes. Maybe you stop using the machine. That's decay or extinction. A decline in behavior because it's not producing the desired outcome.
Okay, I see the analogy. So in golf.
You expect or hope for a good shot every time you swing. When you hit a bad one or get an unlucky bounce, the expectation isn't met. Frustration, anger creep in.
And disrupt your concentration, just like we talked about with the arousal system.
Exactly. You start that downward spiral. But the mentally tough players, they have, according to the sources, low arousal, high frustration tolerance, and patience.
High resistance to decay.
Precisely. They can handle multiple bad shots, bad breaks, without their performance completely falling apart. They don't let the frustration derail their focus on the next shot.
And this patience isn't just about surviving bad patches. It helps you win, too. Craig Stadler, Jack Nicklaus in that tough U.S. Open, they credited patience.
Yeah, Nicklaus specifically mentioned patience when everyone else was struggling on the greens in 72. He just kept his cool, kept focusing one putt at a time while others got frustrated and lost strokes. He had enough patience to finish.
So think about your own life again. Where do you experience that decay? When things aren't going to plan, how many setbacks does it take before your focus wavers, frustration takes over, and maybe you just give up on the task or goal?
How can you channel a bit of that Sam Snead never give up attitude, that high resistance to decay when you face a rough start or unexpected obstacles?
It's not about being perfect. It's about persisting through imperfection.
That's the core message.
Which leads us perfectly into the next point. The danger of unrealistic expectations versus setting achievable ones. And this thing called the distance disease.
Right. The illusion of perfection is a huge trap. What's really striking is hearing that even legends like Nicklaus and Ben Hogan, when playing their absolute best, they only expected to hit a handful of shots in a round exactly the way they wanted to, like maybe 4 or 5 perfect shots in 70-odd swings.
Only a handful. Seriously.
Seriously, they saw those purely flushed, perfect shots as mostly accidental and extremely rare.
That blows my mind.
Right.
We amateurs think we should hit every shot perfectly.
Exactly. And that sets us up for constant disappointment and frustration. Walter Hagen, another old-time great, reportedly had a brilliant mental trick for this.
What was it?
He expected to hit 7 bad shots in every round, just built it into his plan, so when he hit a duff chip or a drive into the trees...
He wasn't surprised or angry.
Nope. He just mentally chalked it up to one of the 7. Okay, that's bad shot number 1 done. 6 more to go. It helped him fend off the emotional and physical consequences of decay.
That's brilliant. Manage expectations to manage emotions.
It is. But then you have this specific modern issue the sources call the distance disease.
The distance disease.
Yeah.
Sounds ominous.
It refers to the fixation, especially among male golfers apparently, on hitting the ball incredibly far. Power over precision.
Ah, the obsession with the long ball. I've seen that.
So you get paired with someone who hits it miles past you. What happens? You start trying to swing harder, compete on their terms. This introduces effort tension. Your swing
And your
changes
focus shifts, right, from your own game hitting your
to
targets.
trying to match the other guy's performance. And almost inevitably, the sources say your own performance deteriorates.
There's a story about Kenny Knox and John Daly.
Yeah, Kenny Knox, a solid tour pro, got paired with John Daly, famous for his monstrous drives. Knox admitted Daly's distance got to him. He started seeking instructions specifically to hit it further,
Chasing distance.
and he felt it messed up the rest of his game. He said, "The field that you have, that's how you play the game. I really have lost that ability to play the game." Meaning, he lost track of playing his strengths.
Wow. That's a cautionary tale.
It really highlights what actually matters for scoring well. It's usually not brute distance. Jim Dent, a long drive leader on the senior tour, admitted he finally realized he needed to work on chipping and putting, things he'd almost never worked on years ago, because he thought distance was everything.
The short game. Getting the ball in the hole.
Exactly. Look at Corey Pavin, PGA Player of the Year, #1 on the money list, driving at an average of only 252 yards, which is, modest by tour standard.
Tiny compared to the Bombers.
But he said, "I lost concern for distance long ago. I can hit at 270 if I want to, and that's far enough." Tom Kite won the U.S. Open in '92, being ranked 51st in fairways hit, 29th in greens, but 5th in putting.
Putting one in the major.
Even a world-long drive champion, Monte Scheinblum, shot a 63 not just by bombing it, but by excelling in his short game. He said he uses his driver much less than the average tour player. Dennis Paulson shot a 62 one day, then a 74 the next. The difference? Putting, not how far he hit it.
The evidence seems overwhelming.
And Nicklaus won the '92 Senior U.S. Open barely using his driver. Gary Player won the '62 PGA Championship without using his driver at all in the final round.
No driver. That's amazing.
It really underscores the point.
So how do you overcome that distance fixation if you feel it creeping in? Sam Snead had some advice.
Yeah, classic Snead wisdom. First, he said, "The longer you take to hit the ball, the farther you will hit it." Which sounds weird, but he meant developing a feeling of not rushing the downswing. Smoothness equals speed.
Okay, rhythm over brute force.
Second, grip pressure. Practice with a very light grip pressure throughout the swing. Squeezing it tighter leads to tension and errant shots.
A bit relaxed.
And crucially, focus your concentration on your target in the fairway, not on how far you want to hit it. He believed your best distance and accuracy will come naturally, not forced.
Focus on the target. Let distance happen. Makes sense.
So for you listening, are you maybe chasing the wrong metrics of success in your field? Focusing on vanity stats instead of what actually produces results?
Are your expectations for perfection or matching others? Setting you up for frustration and that decay we talked about.
What bad shots or minor failures can you anticipate and accept in your own work, like Walter Hagen did, so they don't derail you emotionally?
Really good questions to ponder. Shifting focus now, away from internal metrics and towards playing your course, not your competitor. This seems key.
Hugely important. Ben Hogan is the ultimate example here. He apparently never concerned himself with competitors or leaderboards.
Really? You didn't scoreboard watch?
According to these sources, no. His entire focus was the course. The contest for him was purely between his playing ability and the course.
Him versus the architecture.
Yeah. He'd even walk courses backward in practice rounds to figure out the absolute best spots to land the ball for the next shot. His famous quote after conquering the brutally tough Oakland Hills course in the '51 U.S. Open wasn't about beating the field. It was, "I vowed I would bring this monster to its knees."
Battling the monster, not the other players. That's a powerful mental frame.
And the alternative, focusing externally, is shown as a real performance killer. Kelly Booth, a junior champ, said she used to play the other players when leading.
Worrying about what they were doing.
Right. But she only started winning consistently when she shifted to focus more on playing the course. That's when she could focus better. Nancy Lopez, another legend, admitted her nerves were bad. She'd look at a leaderboard and make a bogey on the next hole. Classic external focus trap.
Leaderboard anxiety.
Her putting only improved when her internal winning concentration crept back in. Nick Faldo lost a lead in the French Open, describing himself as brain dead because his mind was already on the 18th green, thinking about the outcome.
Collecting the trophy in his head again.
Wayne Grady at the Masters, thinking he just needed par on 18 to make the top 24 for next year's invite, missed 3 putts because he was in sort of a daze, focused on the outcome, not the process of putting.
Ouch.
Contrast that with Greg Norman, who said his lowest scores came when he was so focused on what you're doing that you don't even know what score you're shooting.
Just lost in the process.
And Ray Floyd, described by Mark O'Mara as the most intimidating player I've ever played against because he plays every shot like it's the last shot of his life. That's pure internal focus on the present task.
Wow. That intensity. This all points towards the importance of self-talk too, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The sources have a great line. Treat yourself as you would a good friend.
Be kind to yourself.
Yeah, have those realistic expectancies, accept the poor shots like Walter Hagen did, but still expect peak performance from yourself. It's a balanced, realistic acceptance without lowering your standards for effort and focus.
So the question for you is, how much of your mental energy gets eaten up by comparing yourself to others, worrying about what they think, fixating on the final score or outcome, instead of just executing the step in front of you?
What small shift could you make to start playing your course more and your competitors less?
Okay, this has been incredibly insightful, pulling lessons from these champions. But how do we practice this stuff? It's not just theory, right? We need practical ways to build concentration.
Exactly. Concentration isn't like a light switch you just flip on for the big moments. You have to train it like a muscle.
So how do we do that in everyday life?
The sources suggest starting with mindfulness in really simple daily routines. Things you do anyway, like when you're brushing your teeth, getting dressed, maybe even driving if you can do it safely.
Okay.
Actively try to be mindful. Focus on every color, sound, feel, smell, and taste associated with that activity. Just notice the details. Notice the feeling of being relaxed and in control during a simple task.
Building awareness in the mundane.
Precisely. And when those inevitable distracting thoughts pop up what you need to do later, something someone said.
Yeah, the mental chatter.
Practice what the sources call dispassionate awareness. Don't fight the thought. Don't engage with it. Just notice it. There's a thought about email. Then gently allow it to pass without reaction and redirect your focus back to the sensation of brushing your teeth or the feel of the steering wheel.
Observe, don't engage, then redirect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another practical strategy, especially relevant for work. When you have a deadline, consciously ignore the clock.
Ignore the deadline. That sounds hard.
Well, not ignore that it exists, but shift your focus. Put all of your thoughts on what you're doing, the task itself, not on how much time is left or how much work remains.
Because focusing on the clock just ramps up the anxiety.
Exactly. It accelerates your nervous system, creates that arousal state, and actually diminishes your concentration when you need it most. Focus on the process, not the countdown.
That makes a lot of sense. What else?
There's also a specific broad to narrow focus exercise you can do anytime.
Okay.
Just practice consciously shifting your attention, maybe for 60 or 90 seconds. Deliberately adopt a broad focus. Just be aware of everything in your surroundings, sounds, sights, feelings, all at once.
Okay, wide lens.
Then consciously switch to a very narrow focus. For example, just the physical sensation of your big toe on your right foot inside your shoe, nothing else. Hold that for a bit.
Tidy focus point.
Then switch back to broad awareness. Doing this back and forth actively builds that mental agility, the ability to control your attentional spotlight.
Like doing reps for your focus muscle.
That's a great way to put it. These aren't just abstract ideas. They are concrete mental exercises you can start doing today. Pick one small routine, one task, and just practice that mindful, present moment concentration.
Build the habit.
Build the habit.
Wow. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah.
We've really gone deep into the minds of champions, haven't we? Dissecting concentration, patience, realistic expectations.
From Nicklaus's rhythmic focus, those peaks and valleys.
Right, to Hogan's relentless focus on the course, not the competitors.
We've seen that peak performance, it seems, isn't really about achieving constant perfection.
No, it's more about perfectly managed imperfection, isn't it? And just unwavering mental discipline through it all.
It really does seem like true mastery isn't about eliminating mistakes at all. It's much more about how gracefully, how effectively you navigate them, how quickly you can get back to being present for the very next shot, whatever that is in your life.
Okay, so here's a final thought for you, our listener, to maybe chew on after this deep dive. If the world's absolute best golfers, people who dedicate their entire lives to mastering this incredibly difficult craft.
Mm.
Fully anticipate and accept hitting a significant number of bad shots in every single round.
Yeah.
What does that tell you about the pursuit of excellence in your own life, your own work, your own goals? Maybe, just maybe, true mastery isn't about never messing up.
But about how you handle it when you inevitably do, how you stay present for what's next.
Exactly. What would change for you if you really truly embrace that perspective?